Hi there, this is Aubrey Chauke. I'm a tutor for accounting, business studies, EMS, as well as research. If you're watching this, you're definitely at the right place. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button on your bottom right. And once you're done with that, you can definitely make sure that you leave your comment on the comment section. And since we're still talking about leaving the comments and subscribing, I just remembered that as I was going through the statistics of the channel, I realized that 90% of people who are watching this channel, who are watching these lessons, have actually not subscribed. And I think maybe this is because they don't understand what does it mean to subscribe. I've realized that most people think that like when you subscribe for something you have to pay, and which is not true. So when you subscribe, the advantage is that each and every time I upload something, you'll be informed. They will tell you that YouTube will send you a notification to say that I have uploaded this particular video, and then you will have an opportunity to watch it. That's it, and then that's all. So you don't pay anything for subscribing. And then let me also get into the announcements. Announcement number one: if you're in Hammarskraal, I'm pleased to let you know that we have contact lessons that are taking place at Tusanang Daycare Center in Hammarskraal, next to Meditela Primary School. So if you want to join us, you're welcome. Registration is only 100 Rand, and then we also have monthly fees of 250 per subject. And then announcement number two: if you want me to be your online tutor, I'm pleased to let you know that Aubrey Chauke Tutorials is hosting online lessons that are taking place on a daily basis. All you have to do is to pay a monthly fee of 350. A fee of 350 per month, and then from there you'll be part of us, and then I'll be able to render you or to offer you online lessons twice per week, and these lessons will obviously be recorded. So at the end of the day, when we are done with that lesson, I'll be able to send you a copy of that particular lesson, and then you're able to watch it at your own pace, at your own time. And then if you have any questions, you are able to also ask me again after we have done that lesson together. And then if you can't afford, well, we still have something for you. We have contact lessons that are taking place for only 250. If you want me to come to your place, just talk to me. Use the details that will appear at the end of this video. Contact me, and just know that those lessons are only costing 250, where you'll be getting one lesson per week. With that out of the way, let's continue with our lesson. So in today's lesson, we're going to be talking about the Debtors Journal, and normally this is done in grade 9 and 10. So we're going to be looking at the Debtors Journal, and obviously we have some learning outcomes that we should be able to achieve at the end of this tutorial. Number one, we should be able to define the concept Debtors Journal. You should be able to tell us what are we talking about when we talk about the Debtors Journal, and obviously you must have some background about credit transactions, because we can't be talking about the Debtors Journal without having an understanding of the history of the credit transaction. So you should be able to just briefly describe how did we end up having to sell on credit to customers, and then also you should be able to explain the content or the format of the Debtors Journal. You should be able to tell us what each and every column in the Debtors Journal represent, and then from there you should also be able to analyze and record transactions that affect the Debtors Journal. And then once you're done with that, you're good to go. So now let's start with defining the Debtors Journal. I thought it would be very important for me to explain debtors before I explain debtors control. Okay, so when we talk about debtors, we're talking about people who owe the businessman. This means that the goods that these people have bought are actually assets of the business. We don't necessarily own those people. We own the goods that these people have bought from us as a business. And then obviously people end up becoming debtors of the business because they bought from the business on credit. Okay, and then all these credit transactions that have occurred, when these people buy on credit, we record whatever transaction that has taken place in that particular day where somebody was buying on credit in the Debtors Journal. And then at the end of the month, what we do is that we make sure that we totalize that Debtors Journal. Remember, a Debtors Journal is a book where we record all credit transactions of the business. So that Debtors Journal has to be totalized at the end of the month, and then we'll take that closing balance and then take it to the Debtors Control Ledger account, but then we won't get into that. And then let's also maybe talk about the history of credit transactions. Like I said, that you can't be talking about Debtors Journal without understanding how did we end up buying on credit. So what happens is that in the past, businesses used to only sell to customers on cash, they wouldn't allow credit. But then they realize that when they don't sell to customers on credit, they end up having a lot of stock end up becoming stale, some stock get damaged, some stock get stolen, because people at that particular time of the month don't have money. Like, for example, I want to buy something today, but I don't have money. And then if you are a business and you have those goods will become stale if there is no one buying them. So what businesses did, they decided to come into an agreement with customers to say, you know what, I sell this particular goods to you on credit, and then when you have money at the end of the month, you pay me. And then they ended up coming with what we call the credit arrangements. In South Africa, I think it's NCA, National Credit Act. It's one that facilitates how credit transactions should occur and so forth, the terms and conditions of credit transactions and so forth. Businessing, when they purchase things ka sekoloto, businessing, what they do, they record those transactions in the Debtors Journal. Okay, so now today we end up hearing about things like debtors age analysis in accounting and so forth, and all this comes from customers buying things on credit. Okay, so, and I think it's also important to understand why it was beneficial to customers to sell products to customers on credit. The advantage of selling on credit is that as a business, you ensure that you don't have lot of stock on hand. Why? Because customers will be buying things as soon as they need them, so you end up not having a lot of stock. You avoid things like loss of stock, theft and so forth, and then you end up having people who are buying those products even though they don't have money, only to pay at a later stage. Okay, now the advantage and disadvantage for customers is that as a customer, obviously, because you're buying things on credit, you are buying them exactly at a time when you need them. The advantage is that obviously when you want something, you'll be able to get it. If you want to buy something, you'll be able to get that particular thing. But then the problem is, if you are able to buy something when you need it, you might sometimes end up buying more than what you can afford. And this is why we have some people being blacklisted. This is because they bought more than what they could afford. And then the business would experience a disadvantage in a way that when customers can't pay for the things that they took on credit. Okay, I think I've explained enough, so let's just get into the lesson. Now let's talk about the format of the Debtors Journal. How is a Debtors Journal like? How is it like? Firstly, for you to be able to prepare a Debtors Journal successfully, you need to also have just an idea of how is a Debtors Journal looking like. One of the things that I was taught when we were preparing the Debtors Journal was that our Debtors Journal must have a heading. It must be written Debtors Journal of so and so, and then it must also identify the month in which we are preparing the Debtors Journal for. What am I saying? The Debtors Journal must identify the name of the business as well as the month in which we are preparing the Debtors Journal for. And then we also have the format of the Debtors Journal. One of the columns that you will see is the one that's written doc. In that doc column, we're supposed to include the document number. Like, for example, when somebody has issued, we have issued an invoice to someone who bought on credit. That invoice, if you look at it, it will have invoice number something. Like maybe, for example, invoice number 203. And then normally those invoices, they follow each other in a chronological order. And then we also have the day. In a day, we record the date in which that particular transaction occurred. So when you think about the day, remember the date here. Okay, and then we also have the data. When you see the data, think about the name. Who is that person who is buying from the business on credit? Think about the name of that particular person. And then we also have sales. Obviously, remember I said to you that as a business, when we sell things, we can sell them on credit or on cash. So in this case, we look at that particular amount that which we have sold those goods to that person for. They will normally tell you to say we sold goods of this particular amount to so and so on credit. So that particular sales amount, you enter it in the sales column. And then obviously we will also have the cost of sales column. And this is because, remember, each and every time when you sell goods, your cost of sales increases. So that's why these two are together. So we must also record the cost of those goods that we have sold on credit in the debtors journal. So for now, what we're going to do is we're going to look into an example. I have few things that I think we should look at that can help us to be able to prepare this debtors journal. Okay, and then they're saying Ramalao Traders is a local hardware that sells building products. So we know the type of products that they sell. They sell building products to the local community of Hammanskraal, and they're saying the financial year of the business starts on 1 July and then ends on 30 June. Okay, so their business starts on 1 July and ends on 30 June each and every year. And then we also have the very important information that we must use, which is about the profit markup. They're saying that the business uses a profit markup of 50%. This means that the business adds 50% on the cost price to be able to determine their selling price. Okay, so now they're saying the following transactions relate to Ramalao Traders for the month of July 2020. This means that these are the transactions, or these are some of the transactions that took place in the month of Ramalao Traders. And then normally they will tell us what we're supposed to do. On instructions, they're telling read the above transactions and record them in the debtors journal. So we're supposed to read the transactions that are given and make sure that we record them in this debtors journal. Okay, so now let's go into the transactions. Transactions number 1 says sold goods on credits. Sold goods amounting to 75,000. So we have the selling price already. We sold goods amounting to 75,000 on credit to B Baloyi, and then this occurred on the 10th of July 2020. And then we also issued invoice number J01. So we've already been given the information that we need, but if you check, we don't have the cost price. So this means we need to use that information that they told us about, but again, the information that they gave us about the markup. Okay, so maybe what we can do for now is to try and get the cost price so that we can just enter everything. So I'm just gonna leave some space, but then for now let's record what we have. We'll do the other ones as we proceed. So we know that the document number is number, I think it's J01. So we have document number J01, and then the date in which the transaction occurred, they're saying it's on the 10th. So we're gonna write the 10th year, and then we'll write J Baloyi as our date. This is the person who bought things on credit. And then what was the sales amount that we were given? We were told that the sales amount amounted to 75,000. So on sales we're going to write 75,000. Okay, but then if you check something, you realize that we don't have the cost of sales. So the cost of sales is not given unto us, and there's gonna be a mark for that particular cost of sales. So what we can do is to try and look for that cost of sales. So we know that our cost price is equals to 100 rand, and then our profit, 100%, and then our profit is equals to 50%. They told us that we add 50% markup. So this means that the selling price will be out of 150. So we check what is it that we given. They gave us the selling price. Okay, so what we want must always be at the top. So we're going to have the percentage, or the percentage of the selling price, which is 150, right? And we'll say 150 divided by, sorry, let me just erase. What we want must always be at the top. Remember, we have the selling price, so we know that we're not given the cost price, which is what we're supposed to do to look for. So we're going to have 100 over 150, and then multiply by, I think it's 75,000, and then we will have that cost of sales. So maybe we can try, I'm gonna do it quickly on the calculator. So 75,000 multiply by 100 over 150, I'm getting 50,000. So it's 50,000. This means that my cost of sales here is supposed to be 50,000. Okay, so we're gonna have at 50,000 here, and then you're done with the first transaction. But then I think sometimes it will be important for you to be able to check if you're correct. So I got about it, we are adding a profit markup of 50%. What you can do for you to check if your cost price is correct, you can take 50%, that 50,000, and multiply it by 0.50, so that you can get the half, is 25,000, and then you add that 25,000 to 50,000, so that you can know what is the selling price, and we're getting 75,000. So we are done with the first transaction. So let's go to the second one. And then when you do the debtors journal, you must always pay attention to the keywords. Look for words like bought, credit, invoice. Every time you see invoice, bought on credit, or sold on credit, you must know that you're dealing with the debtors journal. Okay, now on the information for transaction number 2, they're telling us that credit sales amounted to 180,000, which is our selling price, and they're saying the cost of sales amounted to 120. Okay, 120,000. We know that this is the cost price and this is the selling price, and then we also have the date. So what you can do, you must always verify the information. Take that 180,000 and multiply by 100 over 150. It will give us 120. So this means that the transaction is correct. We're given everything. So you must always know how to reverse this thing. So we know that our credit sales amount to 180,000. So you're just gonna go there and write the date. So here we're gonna have J02, and then the date, I think is the 17th, and then I don't know, they didn't tell us the name of that person, so you can just write credit sales here, because we don't know who the person is. So you can just write credit sales, and then we told that the selling price is 180,000. Okay, we were told that the cost price is 120,000, so you just record it as it is. And this is how you're supposed to do the debtors journal. It's not that difficult. As long as you know how to get your selling price and your cost price, you're good to go. Now let's go to transaction number 3. They're saying issued invoice. The keywords I was talking about, invoice, credit sales, then you know you're dealing with things that have to do with the debtors journal. So they're saying issued invoice number J03 amounting to 3,000 to KK Ghana on the 19th of July 2024. Goods bought on credit. Okay, and then we know that here what we given is the selling price. Here we're given the selling price of 300,000, and then this transaction took place on the 19th. So, and then if you check something, check the invoice number 003. Here they didn't tell you the invoice number, but they are assuming that you should know that invoices have to follow each other in a chronological order. So we're going to have J03 here, J03, and then I think it's the 19th, and then the name of the person who bought on credit, K Kekan, and then you write K Kekan. Okay, and then we know that the selling price is what? 300,000. So we look for the cost price. For you to get the cost price, remember I said you say 100 over 150, and then you multiply by that 300,000, and then you get your cost price. And then we know that 100 over 150 multiplied by 300,000, we get 200,000 as our selling price. Okay, I mean as our cost price, 200,000. And then for you to check if this is correct, you take 200,000, you multiply by 0.50, it will give you 100,000. 100,000 plus 200,000 is 300,000. Remember, this is our CP, our cost price. So we already have the cost price as 200,000. and then you must also show your workings when you do this. Okay, now let's go to the other transaction. They're saying cost of goods sold on credit to Ikanyang traders amount to 2,000, and then here they're saying the cost of goods sold on credit. This means that they only gave us the cost of sales. They did not give us the actual sales amount, so we must look for sales in this sales amount in this case. So here you can just write J04 and then the date. I think they forgot to mention the date. Let's just put our own date. Let's say maybe it's on the 25, and then we'll write the name of the business, Ikanyang store. And then we given only the cost of goods sold, so this means the cost of sales is 2,000. Okay, now we need to be able to get to use that 2,000. We know the selling price is equals to 150 over 100. Okay, right now we are looking for the selling price, and the selling price includes our markup. So you multiply that by 2,000 for you to get your, what do you call it, for you to be able to get your selling price. So we take 2,000 and then we multiply by 150 over 100. We're getting 3,000. And then from there you'll be done with this activity. All you have to do at the end of the month, but I'm not gonna do that. All you have to do at the end of the month is, maybe we can just try and get the totals. You have to add them, and then from there you'll post to the appropriate journal. So you can just say 75,000. Okay, let me check something. 2,000 times 1.50. Okay, 3,000 is fine. So you can just try at the end of the month, when you finish the month, you add these totals. Okay, so you can just maybe try to add them here. Now let me just erase and use a different pen. So at the end of the month, what you do, you add your totals: 75,000 plus 180,000 plus 300,000 and then plus 3,000, getting 558,000. Let me just check again. 75,000 plus 180,000 plus 300,000 plus 3,000, 558,000. Okay, let's add cost of sales. 50,000 plus 120,000 plus 200,000 plus 2,000. We're getting 372,000. 372,000. And then at the end of the month, what you do then, you take this on the sales. Correct. When we close off this, we go into the sales account. It's gonna be like that. We have let's maybe try to show it here. Let's try to show it here. You'll have the sales ledger account like this. You'll have sales and then balance brought down, and then from there you'll have total debtors journal, and then you on your folio, this information is from the debtors journal. and then you take that total 558,000 on the credit side, remember, and then you add it with this one, then you close off that account. And then even on cost of sales, you're gonna do it the same way. You have cost of sales here, cost of sales, and then you have the balance brought down here, and then you'll have the total debtors journal, and then you write this is from the DG, and then you include 372,000, and then from there that's basically an idea of how the closing transfers are done. So once we have prepared the debtors journal for the particular month, we're supposed to take the total into the ledger account. So in this case, we were dealing with two ledger accounts, which is the sales and the cost of sales. If you want me to take you through this lesson or any other lesson of your choice, if you want me to explain to you in a way that you can understand, you are free to contact us. Don't forget to use the details that will appear at the end of this video to get in touch with us. Thank you for watching, and remember that if you have not yet subscribed, you're still welcome to subscribe. Remember, subscribing is free, and you can share this lesson with your classmate, your friend, anyone who you think this lesson might be helpful to. And also don't forget to send me suggestions. Tell me where you want me to improve, and I'll definitely take that into consideration. With that out of the way, may God richly bless you and make your day great. Stay blessed.